Let's get ready to rumble!
You gotta have thick skin. Whether you're a promoter like Eddie Hearn or a boxer like Anthony Joshua, you need thick skin. Or just turn off social media. Cry them a river. I mean, they've made a fortune out of being promoter and boxer. Cry them a river. With all the adulation and support and fans, they're going to have detractors, people who want to see them come down a peg or two. It goes with the territory. So much so that people will use unfounded propaganda and try and hold it against them. A lot of people were crying Eddie Hearn down when, is it John Doherty, the middleweight, made a video yesterday saying that Eddie was raving about him, saying he was the next great thing, and he signed him. And then he lost one fight to Jack Cullen, and Eddie dropped him. And recently he signed with Sky, Boxer XX. And obviously John wasn't happy with Eddie. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Eddie dropped him after he lost the fight on a MATCHROOM card that was on Sky. So it's not just Eddie dropping you, right? It wasn't just Eddie who dropped him. It's Eddie, MATCHROOM, and Sky who dropped him. And now Sky have signed him. Was Anna Smith crying, oh, Eddie, don't drop John Doherty? No. So yeah, let him go. You can't beat Jack Cullen, let him go. But right now, because they've split, Sky went in a direction where they're signing as much MATCHROOM or former MATCHROOM fighters as they can. And John Doherty fit the description, and they signed him up. Why isn't John mad at Adam Smith or anyone at Sky who didn't fight for him? Because Sky are going to be paying his rent or his mortgage right now. That's why. So he's loyal to them. And Eddie's hung out there for more abuse. It's what it is. In all truth, Ben Shalom and Adam Smith probably told him to, come out and ramp that up a bit, how Eddie dropped you. It's a great way to promote his next fight on Boxer. Yeah, the rivalry is that intense. But he needs to be reminded, Sky are no different from Eddie. If you think Ben Shalom is running some kind of community center over there, he's not. And if you lose to relatively modest domestic opposition like Jack Cullen on Sky, guess what? You're looking at the front door.
I'm looking at the front door.
You're looking at the front. Adam Smith will get rid of you quick time. If he doesn't think you're performing up to par, they'll all get rid of you. Eddie will get rid of you. Nice and Callie will get rid of you. They'll all get rid of you. We've got to keep that real. And with Anthony Joshua right now, a lot of people are blasting Joshua for this £26.99 pay-per-view for the Usyk Joshua rematch. But that's not in Anthony Joshua's hands or DAZN's hands or Eddie Hearn's hands. That's in Sky's hands. They picked it up. They're trying to extract the last bit of juice. So they went for the big one, $26.99. And they're going to promote it and promote it and promote it. And they have to. And in all truth, they probably left with no choice but sell this at $26.99. Because it was put out there in the media that they paid $28 million. According to Frank Warren, it was $35 million. £35 million. Which according to Jam Down's calculation and then me revising it after the extra $7 million that Frank added to the sum, they're going to need to do Klitschko Joshua numbers, Parker Joshua numbers. They're going to have to do them kind of numbers to get their dough back. $26.99, what's that, $32? I mean, it's still a snip to the American boxing fans. If they were getting pay-per-view at that price, they'd be celebrating. One thing for sure, £19.99 days are gone for any elite world title fights over here. They're dead, yeah? They might do Conor Benn and EUBANK if that's still happening at $16.95, but that's not exactly a world title fight, is it? And let's keep it real. If Anthony Joshua had signed with Sky, rather than do this big deal with DAZN, Sky would have charged $24.99. They wouldn't have charged $26. But as this is one for the road, they're getting all they can out of this one. Is Usyk versus Joshua? Is the undercard, the whole card, is it value for money? So here are some of the additions. HRGBs versus Zhang. Smith versus Baldalik. Baldalik, I believe, has vacated his European title. This is an eliminator for one of the sanctioning belts. I don't know which one. I haven't looked it up. Ramna Ali versus Nova. That's two females boxing. Badu Jack versus Rivera. And you have Andrew Tabiti versus Tyrone Spong. It's not a half bad card. HRGBs versus Shang will be one that you need to keep your eyes glued on the screen. two big punches. Is that an IBF eliminator at heavy? Smith Baldalik looks like a good eliminator. I don't know anything about Nova. I've seen Ramna Ali fight a few times. She's part of Joshua's 258 management. Jack Rivera, Badu's a bit past his best, and Rivera, I remember going through his record recently and it wasn't that impressive. Andrew Tabiti is only the one loss on his record to the Cuban, where he was knocked out brutally, trying to slowly rehabilitate himself since then, and that was a few years back, against Tyrone Spong, who was supposed to be Usyk's debut at heavy. And he had a few issues with the testing process, and it appeared that he should have been given the benefit of the doubt, but hey, there you go. It's not a bad undercard. Zhang versus Hrgovic. Zhang is dangerous early. That's all I'm going to say. Hrgovic is a massive favourite. He's been waiting for this eliminator for a long time. A whole load of opponents have turned down the fight, and Hrgovic should win, but don't sleep on Zhang early. Talking to John Doherty, he makes his debut on September the 3rd. Boxer, Sky Sports, against Diego Costa, who is 8-0. And you better perform, John. Nathan Corliss, son of Noel Corliss, former British heavyweight contender. He lost to Lennox Lewis. He beat up John O'Gardner. I remember when he beat up John O'Gardner. What did he say post-fight? They say Frank Bruno's got punching power. This is what I call punching power. He was a bit of a character. That's a quick answer. Noble's son Nathan, he's on the undercard too. He's a light heavyweight. They've got that popular kid on there, Adam Azim, the Asian kid. He's on there. And they got about 4 TBAs on there, but September is a little while away, so it's not an alarm as yet. What's the main event on this card? Is it Dan Azeez versus Shakan Pitters? Or I would assume it's Liam Smith versus Hassan Mwakinyo, if that's how you pronounce it. Now, you might remember Hassan when he pulled off that upset against Sam Eggington a few years back. And he's not a bad fighter. It's an interesting test. He hasn't lost a fight since defeating Eggington. And yes, is he from Tanzania, I believe? It's hard to verify the quality of the opposition, but he can do his thing. He came off a stoppage win over Julius Ndongo last time out. I was going to say it's Liam Smith's debut on Sky, but it's obviously not. But it's his debut on Boxer XX, and he'll be looking to impress the Echo Arena up there in Liverpool. Hey, that's a good main event. And Dan Azeez versus Shakan Pitters on the same card? Hey, British title. The British Boxing Board of Control, they ordered all these fights the other day, and this was one of them. I like this one. Dan Azeez versus Shakan Pitters. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad, Ben Shalom. Not bad, Anderson Smith. Not bad. Not bad. You see, Mick Hennessy and his little deal with Ben Shalom working out pretty well. On Saturday, we get William Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain. Mick Hennessy is Isaac Chamberlain's promoter, and that's why we're getting that. And Shakan Pitters, he fights for Mick Hennessy, and that's why we're getting this fight here. And Shakan ain't a bad fighter. He's only lost to Craig Richards. And Dan Azeez is 16-0. Just last year, I remember doing a weekly, and I was saying, yeah, a lot of fighters are talking about they want to be free agents. That doesn't work for all fighters, you know. For Dan, he wanted a Sky or a DAZN or a BT to come in for him and take some of the financial burden off his back, and he's got that now, and he's not going to let it go easy. Yeah, he's got a bit between his teeth. He likes wearing the retro boxing shorts and socks. It's a very good fight. Would be more than worthy of the main event. More than worthy. So all that investment that Sky has done in the domestic scene, we're seeing evidence of it in cards like that coming up. Next week we got MCKINSON versus VERGIL ORTIZ, 2 unbeaten welterweights. MCKINSON, the southpaw, people are literally calling this southpaw practice for when VERGIL ORTIZ gets a shot at either Errol Spence or a switch hitter like Crawford. It's not even a fight, it's just sparring, advanced sparring with a southpaw. Well, we'll see. I hear they've added Blair the Flair COBBS versus Maurice Hooker to the card. We saw COBBS get battered the other month by Alexis Rocha. After building himself up with a lot of talk, the ceiling came crashing down on Blair the Flair COBBS. Can he beat Maurice Hooker? Seems like a bit of a crossroads fight for both men, both coming off stoppage losses. Although Morris was doing okay in spots against Virgil Ortiz before the youth and the body punching took its toll. That's going to be an exciting fight, COBBS and Hooker. I think that would be pretty exciting unless one of them is really shot. Let's face it, Blair the Flair, he looked a little inept against Roger, didn't he? You'd probably say Hooker could perhaps win this one. And, if John Doherty or any other young pros are watching here, if Blair doesn't perform, you're not going to see him on many Golden Boy cards after this. I'm telling you that now. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's just how that is. Shakur Stevenson takes some Robson CONCEICAO this weekend. I want to see what he looks like. I'm very interested in this fighter, Shakur Stevenson. He doesn't intend to afford Robson CONCEICAO seconds, let alone rounds, to gain confidence. He wants to get Robson CONCEICAO out of there. He's basically saying CONCEICAO is an amateur without a vest. He poses a lot. He doesn't throw a lot of shots. He wasn't convinced that CONCEICAO was robbed against Oscar Valdez, who Shakur schooled just the other month. Shakur staying very active as well. And I like Shakur's mindset, but Robson CONCEICAO is in the ring and he is a live opponent. And this has to be the fight where he does throw a lot of punches. Even though his punches are a little slappy, he needs to throw a lot of them. A lot of jabs. Can he make a contest of it? Technically, it looks like he could. And Shakur, being the shorter man, realizes it's more than likely going to be up to him to make the fight. And he wants a stoppage. This is an interesting matchup. Not so much I think Shakur won't win, it's the way he does it is what is of interest to me. Like, it's shocking matchmaking. And I hate saying that. Before I came on YouTube, I wouldn't have said that because I'm always of the opinion that you should have to fight the most awkward and tricky fighters to prove yourself. But these days, kind of surprised that Bob threw Shakur one where, yeah, he can win it, but he's probably not going to look good. Now, Shakur will probably tear up the script and look really impressive and knock this guy out. And if he does, he's not going to get his due because nobody knows Robson CONCEICAO, but those in the trade will know that Shakur's not messing about if he can make a statement in this fight here. He's not messing about. Shakur has got that Meldrick Taylor type of speed, but he's better defensively. CONCEICAO will not be able to contest the hand speed. He might be technical, and timing can negate hand speed, but Shakur's footwork, man, his hand speed, his punch placement precision. And to be honest, Shakur took his foot off the gas against Oscar Valdez last time out. He won clearly, but he took his foot off the gas to a degree. And sometimes you got to listen to what fighters say inadvertently, as well as saying that CONCEICAO is a bit too laid back. He's probably saying he can't be as laid back as he was in his last fight. He needs to impress. He needs to win first, but he needs to impress. And this ain't an easy opponent to impress against. Congrats to Shakur for taking it. Because no, CONCEICAO ain't no deadly puncher or anything, but can make you look like shit. Joshua BUATSI. I don't want to go over the top. I have to pick my words, but I don't want to go over the top because he's not there yet. But he does have a bit of an old school mentality. He does. He hasn't had one title shot yet, but yet he's fought a title eliminator. He could just sit around and fight D-level competition till his shot comes along. But he wants to be active and he wants to learn. And the Jean Pascal fight comes at just the right time for Joshua BUATSI. Eddie has to win this purse bid. Although I don't think it really matters to BUATSI if he has to fight in Canada. I don't think it will bother him in the least. Because he does have that bit of an old school mentality. Now it's an IBF eliminator. And with Joshua BUATSI ranked number 3 and Pascal number 6. Pascal only gets 40% of the pot if it goes to a purse bid. Joshua BUATSI gets 60. I don't think Pascal is going to want to off with a purse bid like that. So it looks like Eddie is the favourite, or DAZN and MATCHROOM are the favourite to promote it. Both men seem keen to get it on. And you don't have to tell me what Pascal has done in his career and how tough he is. You don't have to tell me. But I've got this sneaking feeling that Joshua BUATSI is going to stop him and make a statement. Timing is the key. Pascal probably needs his magic sweets at this stage of his career to be effective. And I don't think Virgil Hunter and BUATSI are going to come up with something and they'll walk Pascal into something big. Not without having a few issues, though. Pascal will give Joshua BUATSI a few issues. But this is what it's all about. Not sitting around waiting for a title shot. Trying to improve so if you do get a title shot, you're prepped. You're not worried about gas tank. What do I do if this happens and that happens? No, you're taking good fights. Good fights to prep you for the eventual world title shot. I just said gas tank a few seconds ago, and I randomly said it, but ironically, they've both been accused of having dodgy gas tanks, both Pascal and BUATSI. That's interesting. But one of them is going to have to take a chance and set the pace. And I believe that's BUATSI. He's going to have to take a few chances here because he has less experience. The level of opposition that Pascal has faced in his career compared to BUATSI is not even worth talking about. Pascal has fought the who's who from 168 to 175 for years. You know, Froch, Hopkins twice, Kovalev twice, upset Marcus Brown, Lucien Boutte, Chad Dawson, Dimitri Bivol, Fanlong Meng, he was 17-0. Pascal took his unbeaten record. That was an eliminator. What sanctioning body though? Hey, listen, this could be a banana skin for BUATSI. I'll give him credit for taking it. Pascal is a dangerous opponent, but these are the fights you have to take. Sometimes you can lose them, sometimes that loss could be a great experience, but BUATSI will take invaluable lessons away from this fight here, unless he blows Pascal out early. And it shows the ambition that he has, that he would take a fight like that with such a high ranking. I'll give him credit for that. Enough props. Recall in memory refers to the mental process of retrieval of information from the past, along with encoding and storage. It is one of the three core processes of memory. There are three main types of recall: free recall, cued recall, and serial recall. Chris Eubank had an interview the other day, quite a long one, I listened to it, and he was speaking about his recall, his memory recall, and how it took him days basically to remember this name of a female friend. And he could have used his phone or phoned up someone to find out who it was, but he said he wanted to retrieve the name from his own memory bank. And it took him days, and he's saying years back he would have just, in seconds, retrieved the name. And the guy interviewing him was asking, is this through boxing? And he was saying, well, it could be. And more than likely it is. When Chris realized that this was an issue, he started playing these games, memory games, train your brain, brain training, Menomist, to improve your memory recall. Now, if you take too much hits to the head, no amount of games is going to start retrieving information once the brain is damaged. But at the same time, we will do well to remember that the brain technically is no different to any other muscle in your body, and if it's not exercised, it will deteriorate. So it wouldn't be a bad idea for a lot of boxers to start using them games to retrieve memory, because once the brain is damaged, some parts of it will begin to heal itself, but if it's damaged, it's damaged. But the memory games, to retrieve whatever data it can retrieve, and it's better than doing nothing. If you're just going to sit there, oh, I'm brain damaged all day, and just stay in this depression, yeah, brain function will deteriorate. Just like any other part of your body. You've got to have that positive attitude, which isn't always easy. Let's not pretend we all wake up every day grinning and smiling. I mean, everything is great, but you got to push the envelope. Misery or contentness. The archetype brain damaged boxer is slurring his speech, walking around in some 2-bit movie with cauliflower ears. It's a little more nuanced than that. I say that to say, recently the rugby world was forced into action to make radical change to player welfare, extending the stand-down period for professional players who suffer an obvious concussion to 12 days from 7 days. This has come about because the rugby players are unionized, something that boxers are not. And one of the players, who is in a player welfare group, Carl Heyman, has been diagnosed with dementia. He and more than 100 former rugby players are taking legal action against World Rugby and the national governing bodies of England and Wales over what they say was a failure to protect them from permanent injury caused by repeated concussions during their careers. 2013, the NFL settled thousands of lawsuits that ran up past $800 million and is set to exceed $1 billion. I tell you what, man, them various boards and commissions and sanctioning bodies better hope that boxers don't get their ish together, because them lawsuits will be on a different level to anything that rugby, the NFL are dealing with. Trust me. Often the conversation that you might hear from a promoter talking about a fight is totally different to what a boxer might say about the same fight. Like LEIGH would, when I heard him talking, he's going to go Mexico, or if Santa Cruz fights here, he wasn't talking about no 75-25 split. He didn't seem concerned about that. He just wants to fight Santa Cruz. But when you hear Eddie, the promoter, he said they're considering LEIGH options because the WBA have ruled a 75% split in Santa Cruz's favor. So he's saying that LEIGH won't get the payday he deserves for that fight. And as LEIGH's promoter, he wouldn't be doing LEIGH any justice by taking that split. Let's keep it real. Yeah, I know it's not all about money and he should go for glory and bet on himself. You know, I know all that talk. It sounds very impressive, but that's not a good deal. It just isn't for a sport so dangerous. So Eddie's saying he won't get the payday he deserves for that fight. So do we have another fight in September? Do we make Josh Warrington versus LEIGH? Now, DAZN would like that to be a unification, but LEIGH has the lower tier WBA belt, so that rules that out. They could also say, fuck the WBA, give them back their strap, and go fight Josh Warrington. That's one solution. It might not be a great international event. It might not be, but it's a big fight in the UK. I'd love to see it. LEIGH, what did he say to Warrington? See, your jaw is healed nicely as it's constantly talking shit. You're still concussed from Lara if you think you'll stop me. If you're still looking at me in round 6, guess what? Pow! Not very nice, LEIGH, but I haven't got Warrington's comment, but I imagine Warrington was talking some smack because he's got a bit of a mouth on him too. So the build-up would be lively. It would be lively. And this is how Santa Cruz circumvents that LEIGH fight. I'm not saying he's scared of LEIGH, but you know, the PBC want Santa Cruz to fight Vargas, and it looks like they're going to get their way because the WBA have made this ridiculous 75-25 split. I would like this ABC organization to force the WBA out of the game. I really would. Just push them out. Push them over the top of the cliff. But let me add some balance to the proceedings. More than likely, if LEIGH was to fight Santa Cruz, it would be in America. And unless he was prepared to travel without Ben Davison, who I believe is on that ban list, on the Kinahan list, I believe the fight would be tough enough for LEIGH, let alone not being able to have Ben Davison with him. So that fight looks like a write-off, in all truth. But he's got a great dance partner in Josh Warrington. It's an in-house fight. I mean, what is Eddie going to do? Win that purse bid between Wood and Santa Cruz and pay Santa Cruz a 75% of the split? It's not good business, and he doesn't have no options on him if he beats Wood. It's not good business. So fuck that fight, and let's move on. What is Lyndon Arthur's promotional situation? I don't think he's with Frank Warren no more, but has he signed with anybody? So Matthieu Bordelic has vacated his European title because he's gonna fight Callum Smith in an eliminator for one of the sanctioning bodies. The next two available contenders, Joshua BUATSI and Callum Smith, are unavailable. BUATSI's going to take on Jean Pascal, and obviously Callum Smith is going to fight Bordelic in an eliminator rather than for Bordelic's European title that he's just vacated. This leaves Callum Johnson, Anthony Yard. He's unavailable. He's waiting for Artur Beterbiev to come out of rehabilitation after having surgery on his leg, so he'll probably be out of the ring until next year, waiting for his title shot. And the next two available are Callum Johnson and Lyndon Arthur. And according to Everything Boxing, Lyndon Arthur welcomes a bout with Callum Johnson. All I can tell Lyndon is try and get a substitute opponent ready, because Callum Johnson likes pulling out of fights. It's a good fight though. It'll be boxer versus puncher. Lyndon would like to re-establish himself with a good domestic win, because he was really outgunned against Anthony Yarde. He really was outgunned in that fight. But Callum Johnson doesn't have Anthony Yarde's speed. He's not as accurate, but he does have power. Power comparable to Anthony Yarde. He hits very hard. Maybe even harder than Yarde. But Yarde's skills, to me, look a little more polished. Now Lyndon has got a decent jab, but would that be enough to hold off Callum Johnson for 12? Does Frank Warren like the fight? I think a lot of the UK boxing fans would like to see it, and Frank should perhaps put the feelers out there and see what we feel about it, if we'd like to see it.